So this is Thomas Schultra for Teach Now, Module 8, Unit 11, Activity 1. This is my final reflection video for the debate class that I had in my civics class. Just very briefly going over standards 9 and 10. So for 9 and 10, as part of the activities that we did last week. So trying to create a professional development plan for, the goals that I have, both in the short, medium, and long term. Long-term goal is to eventually get a master's of educational leadership and look for or earn administrative roles in the future. I think that as an educator, it's something that I aspire to do because of how I want to help improve schools. But I also see where administrators kind of get stuck into a place where they have power, but then they can't really make the changes that they think will be effective. And so, but that's something that is a very long-term goal. Standard 10 focused on the reading initiative that's been going out at our school, trying to get 100,000 minutes by the end of the school year. Currently for about 150 students, we hover around a 5th grade reading level. So trying to enhance that student literacy is going to be really key for the next, coming classes. And so hopefully the initiative becomes something that starts at the very beginning of the year and not something that's introduced almost in, halfway through the 3rd quarter. So for the video, things that I thought went really well, students stayed on task. And then also I think I utilized the timer really well. So that kind of really helped areas where we're getting into discussions. Again, one of the things that I take as a victory always is trying to get these students to get into a discussion where they share their thoughts and opinions and ideas. With some classes, that's easier said than done. One of the blessings and curses with this class is that they participate a lot, but sometimes it's very hard to, stop them right where they are mid-thought or sentence, and students want to piggyback on those ideas and add more. So, the timer has really helped, and I thought that we got through the entire lesson on time. Everything happened the way that I planned, which was really great. This, I think, was the first lesson that I've had where we've gone from A to Z without any sort of hiccups, and so I thought that went really well. Things to improve on the next time. So in the Google Classroom, we created documents where students could, in their groups, could contribute to Supreme Court cases, and then also compile the arguments that they're going to be making for the debate. However, prior to the class, I did not make any prepared notes for the students who are on 504 IEP plans as part of their accommodations, and of course I accommodate that for all of my students. However, for this lesson, I did not. So that was something that I'm going to have to make sure that is, a routine thing. So this was, a summative assessment with a class, but I forgot a few things. Like I didn't hand out the poker chip points this time. We didn't do the cash out. So it was, I think the class itself was a success, but I didn't implement a lot of the norms that I generally do just because it was a special class. So again, part of the things that I thought went really well is, creating a safe environment for the students to learn. I think that humor is one of the key things that I like to bring into the classroom to try and get students to relax, realize that, this is just it's not an exam. It's something that you're graded on, but making them feel, allowing them to dress up if they wanted to in cosplay or anything else. And so just trying to make students feel that they're in an environment where they can contribute. Another area is I'm really happy that especially for this group, to see the growth and development from the first video where we talked about bias in the media, and then we slowly started getting into the content for the Bill of Rights. Really happy to see some of the students, not all of the students, but some of the students apply the content that we had been learning into the final debate. Of course, that was something that was emphasized. However, some of the students who contributed, I noticed that they kind of they used examples, but they kind of veered off from making strong arguments using court cases, and instead, they were using personal stories to convey the reasons for or against more or less speech and expression in schools for students. But I think I would have liked to see them apply some of the Supreme Court cases that we've been talking about. So one of the things that I'll work on is realizing that when you're creating a unit plan, and so I guess this goes into the InTask Standard 7 with the planning for instruction, is like when you're creating your curriculum map, then your unit plan, and then your lesson plan. One of the hard things is that you're creating these ideas in a document that is very static, but you're then teaching in a class in real time where you might have to modify and accommodate lessons. And then of course your pacing can get thrown off. And so that is one of the things that I did not prepare for, because I think that if I would have gone in my unit plan, from class to class, video to video, the debate had been much more expansive as far as the list of Bill of Rights. And so, we started getting into the Fourth Amendment and the Second Amendment, but I realized that by adding more amendments from the Bill of Rights onto students' plates, the more overwhelmed they seem to feel. So, and this is part of 21st century skills for teachers as well, is being flexible and adaptable to situations, and realizing that you have to teach to the group of students that you have and where they are in their learning abilities and understanding of the content, and bring them to where you want to be. And so at least for this, I consider it a success where I was able to get them by the video for the debate. But I also realized that other classes are much further along, and some are even further behind. So at my school right now, I teach 10 programs, but I teach them in 10 different ways. And I feel like that's the way teachers have to be. And I know that screws with the scheduling and makes grading and assessing harder, but I mean, it would have been extremely unfair to set the expectations for these students of where I wanted to be at the beginning of Module 7 and 8, and expected them to follow along with all 5 of those video lessons with the high expectations that I had. And I realized that that's just not the case, that students are where they are, and that it's the responsibility of teachers to guide them to where we want them to be. So overall, I thought this lesson was a great success. I think that compared to where I was from the first video, it's leaps and bounds, but I tend, not that I feel I'm a pessimistic person, but I tend to focus on the things that need to be worked on rather than congratulating myself for the things that I did well. Again, expectations I have for myself are quite high, but I realize that this is still a learning process for me, and learning is a lifelong process in general. So I feel that I'm only going to get better from here, but there's always going to be things that I need to continue to work on. And so making sure that I give students the documents they need for the accommodations that they need, making sure that the classes are paced on time, so using a timer, realizing the value of student contributions, but also helping navigate them to where they're more appropriate. So I think that over the course of these videos, that's what people hopefully will be able to see. But also, you know, as much as I have a grasp of the content knowledge, you know, making students feel safe, making students feel comfortable in my classroom, so that they come prepared, engaged, and active is something that I think has been the best success so far this year, both in the clinical videos and just in all my classes in general. So this has been a wonderful journey, and I'm extremely grateful for the digital film students with all their patience and their help in making this video. But more importantly, I'm really proud of what hopefully people are able to see is a group of students in a technical center who are passionate about film, who are passionate about learning, but they do it in a different way than what I guess traditionally is going to be seen of what an educational experience looks like. And so I'd just like to thank them for helping me be you know, on this journey. And so it's been really wonderful. And so this is it. And thank you, and goodbye.